Hey guys, it's Alex here from Homey, and in this video, we're gonna take a look at some energy saving tips for your smart home. And I've got 5 great energy saving tips. Now, one of the prerequisites for this video is that you have Homey Pro, Homey Bridge, or a Homey account, because I'm gonna be using flows to start saving energy between my smart devices. And obviously you're gonna need some smart home devices like a smart thermostat, maybe smart radiator valves, smart lights. Those type of devices are really gonna help you start saving energy in your home. Now, without further ado, let's dive into my tip number 1. Number 1 is if you have a smart radiator setup, whether it be smart thermostat valves, so on your radiators, or a smart thermostat itself to control your boiler and your whole home energy, well, you can have this connected to Homey and then have remote access to it. So whether you're going on vacation or you're leaving the home to visit your parents or your children, then you can remotely turn off your heating. Big tip number 1. Now, going a little bit further than that, you can also create a flow that turns off your heating for you as soon as you leave your home. So let's jump into flows. I'm here in the Homey app and I've got Tado connected up. So I'm gonna create a new flow and it's basically gonna say, okay, presence. I'm gonna say when the last person leaves the home. So if you have Homey shared with a few other users in your home, then it'll track their whereabouts and you're saying when the last person leaves. So if someone's still at home, this flow won't trigger. When that person leaves as the last person, this flow will trigger. I'll hit save and I'll add a then event. The then event's gonna take a look at Tado and I'm gonna go into my smart thermostat. And basically I'm gonna set the temperature to, well, what's my vacation or away temperature? About 14 degrees. And I'll hit the check mark. Now I can save this and I can simply say when no one is home, thermostat away. Now you can also add, for instance, a push notification to this and have it send a notification to your phone when this happens, so that you're alerted to the fact that your home is now set to away temperature. Bearing in mind, you can create an inverse flow of this and say when the first person comes home, then set my thermostat to maybe comfort mode or home mode, whatever you want, or set it up to a certain temperature. Now we can even take it one step further and look at specific zone heating, right? And a lot of houses are gonna have radiators that have on-off switches, so you can open or close the radiator. Now some will have thermostatic radiator valves. That means that you can set the temperature of that valve and then the radiator will turn on and off depending on the temperature in the room. But none of these things are dynamic. They don't change with your schedule. Now, what's great about smart thermostat valves is that you can set it up between certain times of day or based on zone activity. And I'm gonna throw a couple of examples of flows up here on my right. And you'll see that, for instance, you can set up your radiator to turn on during a weekday between 9 and 5 in my office. Then my thermostat will be set to a comfortable level, just like this flow illustrates. Now, you can also, for example, say, hey, when the zone becomes active, that my thermostat turns on for a set duration. Now you can also follow this flow, where I'm turning on my radiator based on zone activity. And this is great if you have a lot of sensors set up in your home. So if you're using, for instance, zone activity to do your lighting, which is one of my other tips later on in this video, so stay tuned, then you can also use zone activity to do your heating, which is great because your heating will only happen in a room where there's activity going on. Now, talking about heating, that brings me on to my smart home tip number 2, and that's taking a look at window sensors or door window sensors, but in this case, set up with your windows. Now, what is the worst and most sort of energy inefficient thing to do is have your heating turned on while your window is open. And sometimes we just don't know a window's open because we're not in that room when the heating's turned on. So this is a great flow to fix that problem. So what you need for this is, well, basically a door window sensor. These are really simple. I actually did a comparison on door window sensors. So if you're interested on finding the best ones, go take a look. This one's from Akara and they work really simply. If they're separated, the contact alarm is on. So you'll be alerted to that if you choose to be. And if they're closed, it's off. This basically simulates or will tell you if a window is open or closed. Now I've created a flow that is triggered when the temperature changes. So my when event is the temperature changed. Let's take a look at this. You'll see that it uses the smart radiator valve. It takes a look at if the temperature is changing. Then it creates a tag with that temperature value that is changed to. The next step in the AND conditions is to use logic to determine if that temperature setting is above 20 degrees. And in this case, you input 20 degrees. Basically, this is the value when over this, you're actually heating up the room. So you can use 19 degrees, 18 degrees, you can use 22 degrees, depends really on your temperature level, but it's something to take into consideration. So temperature is greater than 20 degrees. So if I'm trying to heat up the room. And the contact alarm is on. This means that the window is open. Then I'll send a push notification to myself warning me that the office window is open. Really simple to set up, but saves you a lot of energy in the long run because you can make sure you're not heating up rooms while the windows are open. We can actually test this really quickly. Let's change the radiator value. So now I'm trying to heat up the room. And this can happen whether it's basically done by an automation or flow. So you have a flow that's heating up your room, like that every week from 9 to 5, it's heating up every weekday. Or you can manually change it. So let's say I want to go to 23 degrees. Now I've set it to 23. You'll see it update on the thermostat valve. And I'll receive a push notification saying, hey, warning, your office window is open. Thank you very much. Now I can close this. I can go to my office, close the window. Let's head back just to check. So you'll see there's no alert there on the door window sensor. Go back into my thermostat, heat it up even more. And this time I won't be notified because my window's closed. So works like a charm and works every time. And you can set this up for the different rooms that you have. So if you have a smart thermostat set up in your office, maybe in your baby room, maybe in your attic, make sure you get some door window sensors. And well, depending on the use, you can go and get some relatively cheap ones. I think the Aqara ones are 10 to 15 euros. Set these up on your windows and then make sure you're not wasting energy anymore. It's perfect. Now let's get on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is gonna focus on lighting and, well, in this case, smart lighting. Now I've got here a bulb from Philips Hue, but any smart light will work for this. So as long as you can connect it up to Homey, you can create these flows to save you some energy. And this is gonna take a look at zone activity. Now I've got a couple of videos on zone activity, so if you're looking for some more in-depth information, click on the link up here. Otherwise, I'm just basically gonna show you how this works in principle. I'm gonna hit the plus, and we're gonna say when my film studio becomes active. So I'll go into Home, select Film Studio, and you'll see the zone has become active. The zone is active for, the zone became inactive, and the zone is inactive for. This gives you a bunch of different uses. So the first one, I'm gonna say the zone became active. This is as soon as a sensor is alerted to presence. So whether it be a door window sensor opening or a motion sensor sensing movement, this will trigger. I'll say then turn on my light. Film Studio, I'll choose the hue color candle, which is the one I have here, and I'll basically say turn on. Save. Now, the second step, I've gone back to my devices page here, is to actually make sure your sensor is in the same zone as your lights, because the sensor is the one that triggers the zone activity. So I'm gonna head over here to my door window. I'm gonna set this into my Film Studio zone. And now it's in the same zone. Now I wanna illustrate my point. Let me turn on the brightness and turn off my light. Next, I'll simulate that the zone is active by opening the door. And immediately my light turns on. You'll also see right about here that the zone is active. Now what I can do is make the zone inactive by closing the door, or basically if you have a motion sensor, what will happen is after a certain amount of time, motion is not sensed, then the sensor will say, okay, this zone is inactive. Now, what I haven't done yet is create a second flow that turns off my devices after a certain amount of time if a zone is inactive. Let's do that. when the film studio is inactive for, let's say, 5 minutes, then I'll select the same light and turn it off. Save. Now with that flow saved, in about 5 minutes, this light's gonna turn off. That's simple. Now let's get on to tip number 4. So tip number 4 is gonna take a look at smart energy metering plugs. And these are, well worth taking a look at for your smart home. They can be a bit of an investment, but they will pay off in energy saving in the long run. At least I hope they will if you use them correctly. Now what you can do with them is quite simple. Since they measure energy, you can track the energy usage of certain devices. For example, maybe your TVs, or your TV box, or your speaker combo. Basically your whole entertainment system is often all routed through one plug. And that in standby can use quite a bit of energy, 20, 30, 40 watts altogether. And if you've got that running all night, or while you're on holiday, you've leave those things plugged in, which often, my grandfather doesn't, he'll unplug everything, but I normally just leave them on. It can use quite a bit of energy. Now, with one of these, you can turn that off in one go without having to walk over, unplug, plug back in when you get home, all that kerfuffle. You can basically set it up to do it automatically. So you'll create a flow that says, hey, overnight, turn off those devices or that set of devices simply by turning off a smart plug like this. Now, the energy metering side of it is really interesting when you combine it with, larger appliances. And specifically, I'm gonna create a flow that takes a look at a washing machine. And what you can do is basically get a push notification to your phone when your washing machine is done. And you can do that for older washing machines. They don't have to be the newer smart washing machines that'll do this automatically. Using one of these, you can actually just do it via Homey and have yourself alerted to when your washing is done. And that'll save energy by, avoiding those times that you come back, you've forgotten that you've had your laundry or washing going, you come back and it smells like a wet dog, and you wash it again, right? We want to avoid those cases because that's a big waste of energy, and we want to be notified when washing is done. For this, I've actually used advanced flows. So I'm going to grab my laptop and show this to you. Now, if you're not familiar with advanced flows, go check out the link here, and it's introducing you to advanced flows. It's a feature we just launched, and it's for Homey Pro specifically, but it allows you to create some more complex flows for your smart home. So make sure to check that out if you're interested. So now I've created an advanced flow for my washing machine. And you'll see that it starts when the power becomes less than, in this case, 5 watts. But you can basically select any power usage here. And what you'll need to do is, run the washing machine a couple times, use insights to sort of track the performance of your washing machine, and then figure out when the washing machine finishes, what kind of standby power usage value is it at? Then create a flow that, when it's lower than this, triggers. Then you'll be on the right track to follow me here. So in this case, let's switch it to 10 watts. And what'll happen is I've added a delay of 3 minutes. This is because a washing machine, during its cycle, sometimes it's heating water, then it stops, and then it starts rotating the washing, and then it stops, and then maybe it goes to the centrifuge cycle. And in between those pauses, it can dip down below this level. And what you will want to avoid is that this flow, triggers before it's done. So I've added a 3-minute delay, and then it double checks using logic whether the power is less than that given value still. So let's change this to 10. And again, you want to change this to suit your washing machine. And simply, when that happens, then I send myself a push notification with the washing machine is finished. And I've even added the current power is, and then the tag for the power amount. So I'll be notified exactly what the power wattage is at. I've got it to send to my significant other or the person you're sharing your home with, roommates, whatever, whoever you want to notify. You can also send a push notification to them. And then I've got a simple notification to add to my timeline on Homey so I can keep track of how often we're washing and that kind of thing, and at what time is it finished. So, real easy flow, but with this, you'll never forget your washing machine and your washing in your washing machine ever again. Every time it's finished, you'll be notified on your mobile device. So you're kind of creating a smart washing machine without actually purchasing a smart washing machine. it's a really cool way of using an energy metering plug. Now I actually did the same for my dryer. So I've got the plug behind my washing machine, and I've got one behind my dryer, and then it notifies me when my dryer is finished. Now the dryer being finished is not such a big deal because often with dry laundry, it's, if you leave it a couple days, it's no biggie, but it's still nice to have this notification when that's finished. Now my fifth and last tip for energy saving is setting my smart home into vacation mode while I'm gone. And for a lot of people, vacation mode can be a different thing, but I've created an advanced flow that suits my smart home and what I want to do with it. So let's jump into the flow, and I'm just gonna highlight a couple of interesting things I've created. Now, bearing in mind, you can do this using traditional flows, but it'll take a lot more time and you've got to create multiple flows to sort of do the same thing. Advanced flows is just a super simple and useful tool to do this all on one canvas and sort of, be able to conceptualize and think about and create your own flows in a much better way. So my vacation mode flow is actually relatively simple. I created a variable called vacation mode, and that variable is simply a yes or no variable. And when I want vacation mode to trigger, that variable goes to yes, and the rest of the time, so when I'm not on vacation, it's at no. And you'll see that when the last person leaves home, okay, so this is using presence detection, then after 12 hours, and a final check, is nobody still at home after 12 hours? So if someone comes home, then this is a no and the flow doesn't continue. If it's a yes, nobody is at home, then I send myself a push confirmation to double check if I really want to turn on vacation mode. So let's say maybe I'm out late, right? And out later than 12 hours or so. Then I maybe don't want vacation mode to turn on because I'll be coming home late or I'll be coming home early in the morning and it's not needed. In this case, I have control over whether it turns on or off. So I send myself a push confirmation. This is under the and section for flow cards. And basically you confirm to a question. So home has been empty for 12 hours. Shall I set home to vacation mode? ? And it sends it to me. And then I can say yes or no in the Homey app and on that notification. If I hit yes, then the flow continues. Then it sets the vacation mode variable to yes. And, after all these conditions are met, which we'll go over in a second, I'll send myself a notification saying, hey, vacation mode started, and a little holiday emoji. If I head back, you'll also see that I have a vacation button set up in my hallway. So basically a smart button that I can press to activate vacation mode. So when I'm leaving the home, I want to activate vacation mode, I'll hit that button, and then the vacation mode variable will be set to yes. And then finally, as soon as the first person comes home, so I'm done with my vacation, or a family member or someone from my home basically enters the home, then my vacation mode will be set to no again. So this will deactivate. Now let's take a quick peek at what happens when the vacation mode variable changes. So I've got vacation mode has changed. So that means that it either goes to yes or no. So then I have a check, an and card saying, hey, vacation mode is equal to yes. If that's true, then all the lights in my home turn off, all my wall plugs turn off, all my fans, all my heaters turn off, and my thermostat central temperature is set to 14 degrees, so my away temperature. As soon as that all happens, then I'll be notified. You'll see the all card here. I'll be sent the push notification. And that'll just let me know, give me the peace of mind that my vacation has started and my home is now in vacation mode. Perfect. Now I've got a couple things happen while I'm on vacation. Basically at 5 o'clock, and then between a random time interval of 30 to 60 minutes, my lights will turn on in my living room. So every evening, between a certain time, kind of randomized, my lights will turn on. Then also my lights in the hallway will turn on. Then after a short delay, so 1 to 2 hours in this case, they'll turn off again and my blinds will close. And after a slightly longer delay, my hallway light will turn off. And you'll see at the same time, I turn on the lights in my bedroom, and then after a certain random delay, I'll turn them off again. Then every morning, last but not least, at 7:30, and then again with a random interval between 10 minutes and 60 minutes, my blinds will open. And what this flow basically does is it turns off or makes sure that all the devices I want to have turned off in my home are off, and my thermostat is set at a low temperature, but it also simulates someone being at home. And this is a great way of avoiding, well, here we had kind of a commercial in Holland that said, hey, are you going on holiday? Turn your lights on, lock the door, and then leave. And I'm like, okay, well, that wastes a lot of energy. Your lights are on in your home the whole time you're on vacation. What's the use of that? This simulates someone being at home. It turns on lights at random intervals at certain times. It opens and closes your smart blinds at certain times. And well, it just gives that look like someone's home. If someone's studying your house or whatever and you want to give that image, then this is a perfect way of doing that. And that wraps up my top 5 energy saving tips. Now, obviously turning on and off some devices while you're on vacation is not really saving energy, but it is better than turning on your lights 24/7 while you're gone. Now, with all the flows and information I've shared today, I hope that you can go off and save some of your own energy, and hopefully that transforms into also saving some money, which is a win-win, environmental and for your wallet. So, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, add some comments down below for what you do in your smart home to save energy, and I'm sure a lot of other Homey users or interested smart homers are gonna be looking down in the comment section for some great ideas that other users may have. So make sure really to, add your advice or tips down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.